Welcome to TLE7, Dressmaking and Tailoring. Our topic for today is about sewing tools. Identify sewing tools and equipment and their uses. Today is the start of our fourth quarter, week 1, day 1. At the end of the learning period, the student should be able to identify and classify tools in dressmaking, select the best tool for a particular task, and appreciate the importance of knowing the different sewing tools and materials. For our pretest, here's a simple reminder. Please follow the instructions of your teacher on where you will write your answers to this lesson. Before we start, let us determine how much you know about the use of sewing tools and equipment. This is an essential tool used as a marker on materials and is removed by brushing. The answer is Tailor's chalk. Number 2. This tool is specifically designed to rip out stitches from seams, usually from an error or during alterations to the fabric. The answer, seam ripper. Number 3. A versatile measuring system used in measuring the body. It is made of fiberglass which does not wear or tear easily. The answer, tape measure. Number 4. Scissors that have blades which form a zigzag or scallop edge. The answer, pinking shears. And number 5. This is used to measure objects that are larger than a piece of paper. The answer, yardstick. Let's take a quick review of our previous lesson. Anything that may cause harm to a person, place, or property is called hazard. The possibility that a person may be harmed when exposed to a hazard is risk. PPE means personal protective equipment. Give examples of hazards. Hazards can be physiological, biological, chemical, and psychological. For our first lesson, we will be discussing the different sewing tools used in dressmaking and tailoring. Dressmaking is the art of sewing clothes and dresses. A dressmaker differs from a tailor principally with their buyers or patrons. A dressmaker specializes in women's clothes, while a tailor makes clothes for men. In sewing, having the right tools at the right time is a sure success. One must know how to use these sewing tools to save time and produce the best result. The skillful and appropriate use of the different sewing tools will help take body measurements and drafting patterns with accuracy and speed. There are 5 classifications of sewing tools. These are measuring tools, marking tools, cutting tools, drafting tools, and pinning and sewing tools. For this module, we will discuss the first 3 classifications. Measuring tools. Measuring instruments are devices used for measuring physical quantity. To ensure that final fittings fit perfectly, it is important that we measure accurately. Tape measure. A versatile measuring system used in taking body measurements. It is usually made of fiberglass, which does not wear or tear easily. Sewing gauge or seam gauge is used to measure short spaces like buttonholes, hemlines, tucks, and pleats. It is about 6 inches in length with a sliding guide. Next would be the ruler. It measures 12 inches or 18 inches. It is used for measuring and cutting lines, aids in connecting lines, and in drawing straight seam lines. Yardstick or the meter stick. A yardstick is useful for making hemlines and drawing long lines. It can be made of hardwood or metal. This can also be used to measure objects that are larger than paper or lengths up to a yard. Second classification is the marking tools. Marking tools are used for transferring pattern markings from a paper pattern to the garment and for making alterations on garments. TAILOR'S CHALK. This is an essential tool used as a marker on materials and is removed by brushing. Pencil. A marking tool used to draft a pattern. Tracing wheel. This is a very convenient tool if you have a pattern and want to transfer it onto the fabric. It is used along with carbon paper. This can be serrated or smooth edge. Next is Dressmaker's carbon paper. This is also called tracing paper. It transfers the tracing wheel's markings onto the fabric. Third classification is the cutting tools. Cutting tools are pointed tools with sharp edges intended for cutting. These instruments serve well when properly maintained. Sharp cutting tools do not damage the fabric and make clean cuts. On the other hand, when tools are dull, it slows the cutting process and make your wrist and hand tire easily. Cutting tool joints must be oiled occasionally and sharpened regularly for better use. Examples: fabric shears or the bent-handled dressmaker shear. These are made of high-quality steel and carry a sharp cutting point. Shears are about 7 to 12 inches long and is mostly used in cutting different fabrics. Pinking shears are scissors that have blades which forms a zigzag or scalloped edges, creating decorative finishes on fabric edges. Next are small scissors or cutting scissors, an example of which is the trimming scissors. These are used for trimming, clipping threads, and is around 3 to 4 inches in length. Second small scissors are the embroidery scissors. Embroidery scissors are finely tapered blades that is around 4 to 5 inches. Both points are sharp and is good for working with fine details in delicate fabric and embroidery work. Third small scissor is the buttonhole scissors. Buttonhole scissors are intended for making buttonholes. Next cutting tool is the thread clippers. Thread clippers are handy little spring-loaded cutting tool that allows for the snipping of threads. They are not designed to cut fabric. Another cutting tool is the seam ripper. Seam ripper are specifically designed to remove stitches from seams during modifications or as a result of an error. Now let's do some activity. For our matching type, match the tool on the left with its name on the right. You have 15 seconds to answer. For the next activity, fill out this table with a different classification of tools. Choose your answers from the given options. You have 1 minute to answer. You may also pause this video if you need more time to answer the activity. Now let's check your answers. For activity B, here is the answer. To sum up what we have learned today, let us complete the following. I have learned that being familiar with the different sewing tools would help me in. For these next questions, read the following questions carefully and answer in 2 to 3 sentences for each number. Sewing without the right tools is like a frontliner without his personal protective equipment or PPE. Do you agree with this statement? Why? What do you think is the importance of knowing the right tools in dressmaking? For our post-test, read each item carefully and choose the letter of the best answer from the choices below. You have 5 seconds to answer each question. Let's start. Number 1. This is also called a tracing paper. Number 2. This is intended for making buttonholes. Number 3. This helps in transferring pattern onto a fabric. The edges can be serrated or smooth. Number 4. This is specifically designed to rip out stitches from seams during alterations. And number 5, bent-handled dressmaker shears are also called. Now let's check your answers. Number 1, B. Number 2, A. Number 3, D. Number 4, C. And number 5, A. That's it, guys. I hope you learned a lot from our lesson. See you again. Bye.